Today, I want to share a story of real life work, my normal 8 to 5 job. I want to share with you guys some leadership failings, not necessarily the series that I've been kind of sparsely doing, talking about a very specific individual. Today, we're going to focus on a completely different person. But what I want to talk about is the failings of leaders and kind of this idea of fire inside you as a leader. I don't know that there's a term for it. Maybe we covered it with leadership traits talking about enthusiasm, but I don't quite think that's what I'm talking about here. So let's take a step back, kind of set the stage for this story, for this situation. I am a manager at a rather large company. Okay, I lead the IT guys that come out, that fix your computer, etc., etc. That's my team. Now, because of how large the company is, there is a second manager at the other site that we are at, right? The city that I live in, there's a second city about 2.5 hours away. He leads, his group there and some regional folks. I lead my group at my city plus the other half of the regional folks. Again, I've been doing it 12, 13 years. This guy has just started about 6 to 8 weeks ago. Now, here is my concern, is that he started his position similar to me, being a veteran in the Marine Corps. I had a lot of high hopes for this guy. Very happy that he was here, very enthusiastic that I would have a brother of mine who, that I felt and so far seemed to get along with fairly well. However, I've already noticed in the 6 to 8 weeks that this guy's been around, that there have been some issues going on. So, what am I talking about here? When he initially started, he was at his site, like I said, about 2.5 hours away, and he was there about 2 weeks. Our manager said, look, I want you to go up here. He's been here about 2 weeks. Talk to him, show him some issues that you've noticed since, the former manager is no longer here, some things that we need to work on. Just show him how you do things, because clearly the way that I'm doing things is working because, well, they've kept me around for, over a decade. And I said, sure, not a problem. We picked out a date. We picked out a time. I drove 2.5 hours up there, only to find that he, on the date and time that we had both agreed upon with our manager, was not there. He was at home. Okay? So that in and of itself was already a problem. The fact that I had driven, 150 miles to this guy, that I had gotten up super early, that the company was paying me this money to not only get up early, but the mileage and all this, and you couldn't be bothered to show up to work on time yourself. So he finally gets in about 10 o'clock or so, okay? This is my first time meeting this guy. Now, understand that he is a manager, that his team has already started working 2.5, 3 hours ago. He shows up, we meet, we sit down, we discuss some things. And while we're discussing things, while I was pretty annoyed that he shows up late, I was fairly impressed that he was willing to talk about stuff. He was saying all the right things. Very happy. I was kind of, my opinion was slowly turning around. He was saying all the things that I wanted to hear. Now, our manager comes in. It's about 11 o'clock at this time. He says, look, let's go grab some lunch. Let's chat, etc. Great. I follow my manager out. This guy's nowhere to be found. Okay. I give him a call. I say, hey, where you at, man? He said, oh, I have some things to take care of outside of work. I'm going to do them during my lunchtime. Now, look, guys, this is the corporate world, and politics plays a big, whether you want it to or not, plays a big factor in the way that people see you, your availability for positions. It's a game that, unfortunately, the higher up you get, the more likely you are to have to play it. So now we've turned from this guy showing up late to work to now I'm happy that he's willing to discuss things, that he sees that there are issues. He's willing to listen to what I'm telling him. And then we switch to he's already kind of ignored the fact that his boss and my boss have invited him to lunch together. A great opportunity to sit down and get to know each other. And he's already said, screw you guys, I'm out of here. I'm not doing this. We get back, let's say about 12:30. It was a little bit longer than a normal lunch. But again, like I said, with our manager, it was not a big deal. I get straight back to work. His team has no clue what's going on. They haven't seen this guy in hours. They are unsure what to do. They're looking for guidance. They're looking for leadership. I step in and I say, hey, let's get these things done. Let's prioritize these things. I take the initiative to take over his team because he's not available. About 2 o'clock, and hopefully you guys can see a reoccurring theme here, he shows up. Okay, we went to lunch at 11. He shows back up at 2 o'clock, already late for a meeting that I was in, that he was supposed to attend. And this is the first day that I have met this guy. And he and I have interacted where he's come to my city, I've come to his city several times, and this is a constant story. He shows up late, he leaves early, he goes missing, etc. Okay. Now, not only this, but he has a basic, he lacks a basic understanding of how things work, how the telecom system works at our place of employment. Specifically, how to make phone calls, how our internal systems work. Things that, yes, they are new to you. Yes, they are things that you may have never used before. And I understand that because I know that there's going to be somebody out there that listens to this and goes, well, he's a new guy. He can't be expected to know all that. No, that in and of itself is the big problem. And what I want to take a step back and tell you guys about is, as a leader, we've talked about this idea of enthusiasm, right? The fact that you come to work and you're ready to roll every day, no matter what's going on, no matter how crappy, how shitty the day before was, no matter how much work you know is going to be on your plate, no matter how crappy it's going to be or potentially could be, you have to show enthusiasm. But there's also this idea that I've talked about, I think a couple of times on this channel, this idea of this fire burning inside you as a leader, this fire that pushes you as a leader to tackle things, to take control of things, to take charge, to sit there and go, look, I need to know how all these internal systems work. Show me how to make a phone call. Show me how to use the ticketing system. Show me how to access these records, these reviews, this paperwork. Show me how to do this. And that is something that as a leader, you have to do. If you step into a new position at a normal, like I said, this 8 to 5 normal job, your first things are show me the systems that me and my team are going to be using. Show me everything that my team can do. Show me, what my team members are doing. Let me follow them out, the guys that have been here a while. And this is so good advice if you are coming into a position where you have never worked there before, right? Not necessarily you're getting promoted from, let's say, taking my job as an example, a technician being promoted to a leadership position, but you are at a new company, you're at a new place. This is where you go, show me everything you can do, tech number 1. Okay, tomorrow, tech number 2, I want you to show me what's going on. Show me the systems, the forms, the any little intricate details that that we need to figure out that maybe there are problems with, that I can then talk to my peers, fellow leaders, fellow managers, and my manager, my boss, and I can have a fluent discussion because I've seen these things. And it's just not there. Okay? This is something that you have to have and have to do as a leader if you want to be taken seriously. And so far, the impression after this guy being here for about, like I said, 6 to 8 weeks, is that he's lazy, he's stupid, he's pretty worthless, and he has fallen into the trap where, just like his previous manager, or the previous manager for that team up there, just like the manager before him, and just like the manager before him, wish I was kidding with this, but 4 managers in, and they have this attitude of simply being lazy, not getting the job done, not caring, not listening to the manager above them, not following processes, not following procedures. Essentially, they are, as the hip kids would say, a hot mess. Okay? And the fact is that no leader has been able to pin these guys down and get their shit straight, because every single one falls into this trap where they just realize that they can ride it out getting paid quite a bit of money. Okay, we're talking a lot of money for doing very little work, because that's the way that leadership above them is letting it happen. Now, I will agree, and I've said this before to my boss, that it ceases to be this gentleman's issue when leadership above my tier, my boss, allows it to happen. Okay? And there have been steps that we're not going to cover in this video, but there have been steps that have been taken to kind of fix that. Essentially, and I've said this before to my boss, that if one of my technicians is screwing up, it's on them, right? I need to go in and fix it. However, if they continue to screw up, if they continue to not fix it, then it becomes an issue with me. It's no longer the technician's fault, because I, as their boss, their leader, their manager, have been allowing this to happen. And it continues to go up and up and up, right? If if it's still not getting fixed and my manager recognizes it and nothing's being done, well, then it's no longer my issue. My manager needs to deal with me, right? She needs to have a counseling session with me, or get rid of me, demote me, promote somebody else, etc. And this is the issue that we're seeing here, is that we have a failure of leadership at this position. We have a gentleman that is not getting the job done. It doesn't look like he's improving. He's fallen into the trap that all the other managers at this site have fallen into, which is that management is 2.5 hours away, and they can get away with a lot of stuff. And eventually they just learn to ride it out until they get let go. And I mean, like I said, because it's a larger city, they're making a lot of money, and that's the way it works. So, as a leader, you need to, one, have that fire inside of you at all times, okay? It may be enthusiasm, it may be something else, but that idea in your soul that you are a leader, that you are ready to tackle no matter what it is thrown at you, you're going to tackle it, okay? And you need to do your due diligence. You need to be ready to learn as much as you can when you step into a new position at a new place, whether it be a new guild and how they, the loot rules and the rules for raiding and whatnot, or a new, normie job at your 8 to 5 place of employment, what systems, et cetera, that they use. It's all the same. You need to tackle it, and you need to soak it all in as much as possible, as quickly as possible, because the difference between this guy who has no clue what he's talking about, and I wish I was making this up, he does not, after 2 months of being there, understand how to make a phone call using our phone system. And someone who has sat there and soaked it all in and can do the job. Completely different. So with all that being said, you guys know the deal. If you like the content, hit that like button, hit that bell button, all that good stuff. If you didn't like it, let me know in the comment section down below. Until next time, guys, I'll see ya.